The Democrat Party that tried to say, you're not allowed on a ballot. You know that there were 5 Democrat states, Maine, Colorado, and California being 3 of them, that said you're not allowed to be on the ballot, Donald Trump, because you're an insurrectionist. That's a threat to democracy and to the Constitution. It's a threat to our democratic norms. And so I'm not going to relitigate this too much because honestly, I don't have to, because we won and you didn't, and we're in power. And so it's like,
May I speak?
Because he's never running again.
You don't really care about his orders, and you're more so focused on him as the man and just not liking him, the man.
Good.
I think it's good enough.
Oh, good enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
No, you got it.
So, basically, my question is: throughout this whole thing, I've heard you speak pretty in length about, upholding the Constitution, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a great thing. I think that you talk about the founding fathers, who I think, while flawed, overall had very good ideas. My issue is that, and I know it's not October, but currently, I mean, you can spin it however you want. I personally do think that Trump, has done a lot to really ruin the Constitution. I think when you look at January 6th, yes, January 6th.
This is such an October question, bro. Like,
I know, but then answer it.
But answer what? I mean,
why is the Constitution suddenly flimsy when it comes to things that are currently happening? But it's not flimsy when it comes to...
That was 5 years ago. And like, here's my best argument is like,
So obviously, this debate will be about Donald Trump and the Constitution. Okay, my name is LFR JoJo. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into it.
Doesn't matter.
Well, hold on. The American people were presented with this, and they didn't believe the media's premise. So you tell me how Donald Trump was against the Constitution. Like, what?
By trying to overthrow it on January 6th.
Okay, he didn't.
Oh, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. You know what he did do? He did win in November because you guys couldn't stop talking about that for the last 4 years, okay?
Hold on.
Because all you guys did is you lied. You kept the border wide open. You guys sent money to Ukraine unnecessarily.
His own VP not validated?
We had hyperinflation, and all you guys did was lie endlessly about January 6th, which of course was 99% of people that peacefully went into the Capitol to go pray and go look at the people's house. There were only 15 people that actually committed violent actions against police officers. And so we look at all this together. You're like, oh, he's against the Constitution. Wait a second. You know who's against the Constitution? The Democrat Party that tried to kick him off the ballot. The Democrat Party that tried to say, you're not allowed on a ballot. You know that there were 5 Democrat states, Maine, Colorado, and California being 3 of them, that said you're not allowed to be on the ballot, Donald Trump, because you're an insurrectionist. That's a threat to democracy and to the Constitution. It's a threat to our democratic norms. And so I'm not going to relitigate this too much because honestly, I don't have to, because we won and you didn't, and we're in power. And so it's like...
May I speak?
Because he's never running again.
I haven't really gotten a second to speak. So
you kind of did.
What I want to say is that, look, I'm not a Democrat. I don't agree with the Democratic Party. I'm not a part of the Democratic Party. I personally believe in upholding this Constitution, and that goes beyond January 6th. I think currently what he's doing with trying to suppress the media is absolutely abhorrent.
How is he suppressing the media? By doing more media? You know who's suppressing the media? Joe Biden never talked to the media. Donald Trump.
So right now, the student is saying that Donald Trump is going against the Constitution. At first, his claim was about January, the January insurrection. That's what he said. Then Charlie Kirk said that that's not accurate, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Then the student switched his claim from that. He said, nah, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to talk about how Donald Trump is ruining the media. So let's get the point straight. The student is jumping right now from claim to claim to basically confirm that Donald Trump is going against the Constitution. What I think would have been a more appropriate argument was to refer to some actual legislation or to some orders, because when you just look at subjective things such as how he's approaching the media, that's 100% subjective. That's not really a real thing. If you're going to say he's going against the Constitution, it would make more sense. It would just be more logical to go at his specific orders. And when you don't do that, one of 2 things can be true, or one of 3 things. First thing, you don't know his orders. Second thing, his orders don't go against the Constitution. Or third thing, you don't really care about his orders, and you're more so focused on him as the man and just not liking him, the man. But let's continue.
Trump will sit at the Resolute desk and invite all the media
They
to
just announced.
Hold on a second. This is so insane. This guy will answer more questions than any president that we've had in the last 50 years. He will literally do a press conference today. He did one at 12 p.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m., and that's the third time this week he's done, and anyone can ask any question they want. You're saying he's suppressing the media?
Can I say why?
Because of the Associated Press?
Well,
or why?
Partially, yes, and because he literally just announced his press conference person. She just announced that they're getting rid of the nonpartisan group that picks the journalists. He's going to pick the journalists. A bunch of bootlickers are going to be in there. That's not free speech.
Well, first of all, I don't want to hear from Jim Acosta or Caitlin Collins, and I don't think the American people do either. The point being, though, is that...
Sure, and I don't want to hear from a bunch of spray-tan Fox News people.
Hold on a second, though. You know, I find it interesting because I'm interested in your psychology.
Sure.
Like, what do you support?
I support upholding the Constitution. I think both sides are morally bankrupt. I think both sides are supported and funded by billionaires who should be taken out of power. You know, and this is both sides.
Fair enough. We'll end with this. It's a great and everybody don't be like this guy, because and I wish for you. It's so easy in life to go around saying that everything sucks and everything's awful, when in reality you have the best government that you've had in 100 years and a reclamation. Of course, there'll be things you disagree with or you don't like. But it's so easy and so cool to kind of be like, I don't like this, and you're kicking out the press. When in reality, they're getting 99 out of 100 things right. And you have Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, sacrificing himself to go solve government. No, it's like, honestly, though, the attitude itself, I support the Constitution. I don't like Trump. It's like, it's being cool by half.
Why can't both be true?
But no, but I'm just saying, though, it's just... It's in a general attitude, and I get it. It makes you feel morally sanctimonious and all that stuff. But in reality and in practicality, this is a government that none of us have earned or deserved or expected, that is doing amazing things for us on a daily basis. And so I hope you'll come around to that. And everybody in this audience is going to be better because of it.
I think if this government wants to respect the people, wants to not cut federal funding, and wants to overall improve
we
this country...
We should cut federal funding. Of course we should.
Okay.
That's what we got elected on.
Do you think there should be a child tax credit?
Yes, that's not federal funding. That's.
Do you think that there should be free school lunch for all children?
No.
Why?
Of course.
That is federal funding, not by the traditional sense, but that is federal funding. That goes into tax revenue by the government. However, I do understand what he's saying. He's saying that the child tax credit is not funding that the government already has, and that it appropriates to different branches or different departments of government. However, it will obviously affect government tax revenue. But let's continue.
It's not, because parents should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Go get a job.
A child?
The parents should go get the job. Yeah. This is important. I don't believe...
They have jobs and they can't support their children there because the minimum wage is so low.
No, you are a dumb dude. Don't give me this stuff. First of all, this is really...
I want children to eat?
Of course I do. Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. Number two, we have churches, we have food shelters, we have billions, and it does not exist. We have a child obesity problem, not a child starvation problem in this country. That 50% of our kids are obese or overweight. There's not a single kid in America that has died of starvation in the last 10 years. Show me that kid. Show me. This is a propaganda thing from the Democrat Party. Our kids are so overweight, they have type 2 diabetes by the age of 8. So the number one problem for kids right now is that they're not moving enough and they're eating too much, not that there's child starvation. Instead, let's get back to a time where we say, hey, parents feed your kids, churches feed your kids, communities feed your kids, not big daddy government coming in and doing what the family should do. With that, I say thank you guys so much and have a great day. Thank you.
So Charlie Kirk makes interesting points. One thing I fundamentally disagree with him on is all the absolutes. He says children aren't starving in America, and I would say the biggest problem with America is not starving children. However, there are obviously children starving in America, and this is not something that I'm making up. It's literally the truth. That's not the biggest problem in America, but there are children in America who are starving. There are over 300 million people in the country. 1 of them are starving. 1 million of them are starving. Next thing, he said adults should, or parents should feed their children, or should be the church. Yes, in a perfect world. However, Charlie Kirk, in real life, that's not always the case. How many of us watching this video grew up in a foster care system? A few people watching this video grew up in a foster care system? How many of us in this video grew up with abusive parents? A few of us who are watching this video grew up with abusive parents. This is not me picking a side. This is just me being realistic. Just because it doesn't happen to you, just because it doesn't happen to anyone you know, just because you had great parents who looked out for you and I had great parents who looked out for me, does not mean in life it doesn't happen. And that's one thing I just disagree with him on. There are children who are starving. That's just a fact. There are children who don't have loving environments, who don't have loving parents, who just don't have anyone to go to when they're hungry, who need the system or they will starve and die. That's actually why a lot of children don't starve and die, because they get free lunches at schools. But that's just something I know to be true because I've seen it happen before. And sometimes I really wonder if Charlie Kirk has seen it. Because when I hear him speak, and he makes a lot of sense sometimes when he says there's no starving children, when he says people's parents should feed them, yeah, that would be perfect if people's parents did feed them all the time. But I've seen it happen when they don't. When parents give up their children, they leave them in abandoned houses. I've seen it. Nonetheless, though, they both made some pretty good points. Charlie Kirk obviously won this debate for the most part. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. My name is LFR JoJo. I'll see you on the next one.